Bank holiday football.
Yeah, can't beat a bit of bank holiday Monday football, and a good result to go with it as well. Could have been a lot more than the 2-0 win that we got, but the goalkeeper, Jack Hopwood for Aylesbury United, has really kept their side in that game, pulling off some of the best saves I've seen on numerous occasions. So, yeah, what about you? What you been up to?
We had no games, no bank holiday games, but we had our last game of the league season on Saturday. Nothing really riding on the game. It was basically whoever, we needed a point to finish sixth, so just outside the playoffs. We actually won 5-0 against Knapp Hill, so yeah, quite an emphatic victory, to be honest, to end the season, which was nice. But didn't touch our second half. It's just a shame we couldn't get the results prior to that because we would have caught Fleet into the playoffs, but that is what it is. We've got a cup final to look forward to now in a couple of weeks, so it's hopefully carry on that momentum and go win the final.
Yeah, well, we played Good Friday and today. Good Friday was shambolic from our standards. We were 2-0 down to Kings Langley, who were fighting for their lives. Second half, just turned it on, got the 2 goals. We should have been out of sight, but our former goalkeeper, Josh Bowler. Yeah, Kings Langley have scored a 93rd minute winner today as well, which means now Leverstock Green have to beat AFC Dunstable to stay up. I've made it quite known that I want Levy Green to stay up, and I've bloody quote tweeted them saying, "Now you're going to believe us." And about 30 seconds later, Kings Langley go and get a winner. So hopefully I ain't jinxed it for them. I've still got my fingers crossed.
Right, you have, mate. You've killed it.
I've got some good friends at Kings Langley. I've known them for some time now, with Coney Heath and Leverstock Green always having battles over the years. They've done really well to get up, and I really do hope they can cement their step 4 place. But away to AFC Dunstable now. Kings Langley are finished now, so they are 2 points clear. So it's a must win for Levy Green. But what's been going on around the grounds? I'm seeing all sorts of dramas.
Well, it's been obviously a very, very busy weekend, but I think we should start in the Combined Counties South. Obviously, we've been building up the title race for the last month or so. Mm-hmm. So, Friday morning, so Good Friday, everyone's gearing up for the last game of the season on Saturday. It was Jersey top on 93, Red Hill second on 93, and Whiteleaf third on 92. And then on Good Friday evening, what was it, about 7:30, 8 o'clock, a statement come out from Jersey basically saying they've just been informed by the league that they'll be deducted 3 points for fielding a suspended player back on the 2nd of April in their 4-0 win away at Tooting and Mitcham. So that threw the whole of the final day into a bit of chaos, to be honest. The final day was incredible. Jersey obviously won, but then with their 3 points deduction, we think we'll finish third, although that still hasn't come off because the appeal period is still open. Obviously, by the time this episode comes out, that will be closed and we'll have a bit more of an idea of what's going on. But Whiteleaf and Red Hill both needed to win. So Whiteleaf were away at Fleet Town and they were 2-0 up and cruising and winning the league until the 93rd minute of the Red Hill Guildford game. The ball's been pumped up top by the Red Hill keeper. They're obviously throwing everyone forward. It's been headed back out. And I've got to say, it's an unbelievable finish from Charlie Penny, Red Hill. He's lofted it over the goalkeeper and into the top corner and won the league title, we think, for Red Hill in the 93rd minute. An unbelievable end to the season. And those results also meant Sandhurst went down as well. So that was quite a surprise relegation. Balham have been right down there all season, won on the last day to send Sandhurst down. So, very, very interesting few days in the Combined County South. And obviously we wait the outcome of any appeal or any decision that's made from the FA. So,
obviously we've got Red Hill, we've got Whiteleaf, and we've got Jersey Bulls or media people all in the group, and obviously that Ollie Valletta, who everyone knows from his controversial stuff. He took some mad stick, isn't he? I feel for him in a way. I was quite happy for him, but I was going on my Twitter and he was getting pelters from left, right, and centre. And I don't mind like getting in a bit of banter with a couple of people, but he must have had about 40 to 50 people atting him, gunning for him, and I felt sorry for him. Obviously, you got Lauren in there as well, gutted for her. But then you got Sam from Red Hill in there, so I was happy for him. And then obviously Whiteleaf, what a season they're having. I mean, they're going to Wembley. I was in a way happy that they might have nicked it as well, because they could potentially do one of the best doubles that any non-league club could ever ask for, a league outright and a FA Vars at Wembley. But yeah, it was just an absolute mad 24 hours. The dust has settled a little bit. We still don't, as you said, we don't know the outcome.
I think it's settled for a little bit, but I think there's a lot going on behind the scenes.
Yeah,
a lot going on behind the scenes. Obviously we're speaking now on the Monday. By when this episode comes out, we'll know a lot more. But who knows? I mean, Jersey haven't come out to say yes, they're going to appeal, or no, they're not going to appeal yet. So as it stands, the league table shows them still as champions. So
yeah,
and that throws the playoffs into chaos as well, because Cobham have got to travel to Jersey if they do get the 3 points deducted, and there's only 2 flights out to Jersey from Gatwick on Saturday and none back. So, I mean, you got a 3 or 4 day turnaround. It's absolute carnage.
Mate, yeah, it's mad, and would it be non-league if something like this doesn't happen at the end? Well, I mean, we all love non-league and that, but stuff like this it really does put a downer on it. I don't know. We don't know if it was the club, or the club have obviously owned up to it, but for the league to come out on the eve of the final game, I think it's an absolute disgrace.
Yeah.
It should have been done way before. Now it just looks like Jersey were trying to get a sellout for them lifting being crowned champions on the Saturday, and made Jersey look a little bit amateur. It's really gone. It's really been blown completely.
It's not been handled well by the league or by Jersey, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know. I think they're both. Obviously, Jersey are at fault, but then Jersey to come clean, but then to be sucker punched like that on the eve of the final game of the league is an absolute shocker as well. So, I mean,
a mad situation, but keeping in step 5 on Saturday, up in the Northwest Counties League, Bury, who were expelled from League One 2016, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe even later than that, 2019. They won their first promotion, or their promotion to step 4. They got a 4-0 win in front of 8,719 people at step 5.
Incredible.
Which is absolutely incredible. I mean, that's better attendance than I think 2 or 3 League One matches on Easter Monday. So that's quite incredible. Quite an incredible attendance for them. Obviously, they have a big following. They're back at Gig Lane, but still to bring people through at step 5 level is incredible. So congratulations to them. We also had AFC Welwyn, who won the league and promotion to step 5. That's been quite a good title race, actually. It's not been they've not run away with it as many people would have thought. Desborough, I know they absolutely annihilated them last week. But yeah, they pushed them all the way. So congratulations to AFC Welwyn. And Easter Monday, Merthyr Tydfil beat Hungerford. I think that was 3-0. And they got promoted to the National League South as well. So I think that's the first time in their history. Obviously, they turned down the offer the quite lucrative offer to go to the Welsh leagues, Premier League. And it's, I guess it's proven their decision right. So they're up into step 2 now, and only looking one way. So yeah, congratulations to them. The National League South, though. I mean, last day of the season is this weekend. So tomorrow, if you listen on Friday, and any of the top 6 can still win the league. So it's absolutely incredible. You have, I mean, it all changed. I've made notes, done my research, and then obviously it all changed this afternoon. But
I mean, Worthing versus Dorking was a bit of a title decider, wasn't it?
that was a 1-1 draw, wasn't it? But you've got Truro top on 86, Torquay second on 86, Eastbourne third on 85, Worthing fourth on 85, Boreham Wood fifth on 83, and Dorking sixth on 83. So it's all still very tight. And obviously anyone can win that. So Dorking are at home to Chesham. Eastbourne are at home to Weston-super-Mare, who need to win to get into the playoffs. Enfield host Worthing. Hemel host Torquay. Truro host St Albans. And Tunbridge host Boreham Wood. So some massive games in there also, because St Albans and Enfield can both get relegated.
Yeah, I was about to say on that, just a quick one. My two local clubs, Hemel v St Albans versus Hemel today. St Albans City getting a 1-0 win, where Hemel would have won. I think that would have put St Albans City down. So that local derby, in front of, I think it was a good couple of thousand. St Albans getting that vital win, and now, like you said, St Albans got to go away to Truro, who are chasing. Are they chasing the title? Don't they?
Well, they are top. Yeah, they've got. Well, they're top by 2 goals.
Yeah, and St Albans City. I mean, St Albans City got to go there to win, so that could open up, and Truro could get another couple, win the league that way.
Yeah,
but it's mad.
The top 6 to win. Day.
Yeah, that's absolutely mental.
Who have you got to win? Who do you think is going to win?
Well, I really want Dorking to go up.
It's a tough ask from though. Every other team above them's got to lose, and they got to win.
Yeah, exactly. But it's going to be it'll probably be Truro. I can't see Truro having any issues against Northern City the way they've been going this season, especially away from home. I know they're fighting for their lives, but my mate rang me on the way home from today, and he said he went to the St Albans Hemel game, and he goes, the standard, you probably would see better on a park pitch on a Saturday afternoon in the county league somewhere. He said it was really that bad. So,
also Torquay, they go to Hemel, and Hemel got nothing to play for bar Pride now, so that could also be a factor. Moving down into step 3. Yep, step 3 in the South Central. Bedford's obviously won again today on Easter Monday, but Kettering won as well. So they are 3 points ahead going into the final game. So that they only need a draw on Saturday to clinch promotion to step 2. And obviously the merger's not going ahead now with Real Bedford either this summer.
Yeah, I mean, I got it completely wrong last week, didn't I? I was under the impression that I can't see anything else but a merger, but the news came out that I think it's the correct move. I think Bedford Town, can you imagine getting promoted to the National League North and then having a double relegation next to your name and going back into step 4? I mean, you look at it now, you think, mate, what the fuck were they even in discussion with Real Bedford for? I mean, I know in the future, when it comes down to financial issues and that, they probably will merge. It will merge for the town of Bedford. But I think right now, I don't see why Bedford Town should be doing this merger. I mean,
no, Bedford Town look like they're a club on the up. That's back-to-back promotions, isn't it?
Yeah, back-to-back promotions now. But they're going to, like I said, I think they're going to go into the National League North now, and that's going to be a tough ask. I know Birchie over there. Is he going to? Like recruitment wise, you're going to need players willing to travel 3-4 hours just to get to an away game. I think you've got teams like up in the north, like Gateshead and stuff like that, or teams around that area.
There's a lot of travelling in the north.
Quite common.
You look at Oxford City that were placed in there as well, Gloucester that were placed in there, and they've both not done great at all. So it is going to be a massive struggle for Bedford, obviously, in the north.
On the other hand, with the struggle, you've got to think they've been underdogs this year. I mean, some of them didn't even think they'd survive step 3. So what a fantastic job Birchie's done there. He's got the just got them just winning, got a knack of winning. I mean, when you go up from step 4 to try and keep that knack of winning in the higher level, if you can keep that knack, you're always going to be in with a chance. You've got the likes of Leon Lovejoy, Ryan Blake up top, Eddie Panther. He's been banging goals in left, right, centre. You got them. You build a team around them, you ain't going to be far off. So I really do hope they go and win it on Saturday.
Yeah, same as that. And I think they will. I think they will win that. The other end of the table, though, in the Southern League South, So moving slightly down, you've still got 4th to 20th that can go down in that division, which is absolutely mad. Going on results from today, you've got Chertsey in 14th, all the way down to Tiverton in 20th, and everyone in between can still go down. I think there's only 3 points separating them. So, yeah, Chertsey on 47 in 14th, Tiverton on 44 in 20th. And then you got Bracknell, Poole, Basingstoke, Winchester, and Swindon Supermarine in between them. So, again, a huge day. But at the bottom half of that table, obviously with Merthyr winning the title in that division. And in the Isthmian South Central in Step 4, the playoff battle is quite something as well. Ascot are on 76, Hanworth on 76, Kingstonian 75, and Hazen Yedding on 75 as well. So one of those 4 teams is going to drop out on the final day of the season.
Yeah, I can't. I would probably say it every year, but I generally can't remember it being so tight in so many divisions. Like
not in so many divisions. You get a couple, but
but this is near enough every league that we're mentioning. Like even my league with Burko, the top 4 in the playoffs now are confirmed, but we finished second. We're guaranteed to finish second. We can still play any of the 3 teams.
It's quite incredible, isn't it?
Like normally this time of the year, you can kind of gauge who's going to be playing each other in the semi-finals, where, what dates. This year, you can't put your finger on anything. It's just changing by every single result is changing the league tables, and I can't remember it being as mad as this in non-league.
No, well, going back to Bury, they won the league on 109 points. The team in second had 106 points. The team in third had 96 points. It's unbelievable. But talking of champions, I don't know if you saw on Saturday, obviously Step 5, Stanway Rovers won the Essex Senior League. So they had to win it. They were miles ahead anyway, but to mathematically win it. But unfortunately, their goalkeeper got sent off quite early in the game. They had a player go in goal. They conceded a penalty. Who were they playing? Athletic Newham. Yeah, so their keeper got sent off, conceded a penalty in the second half. And let me tell you, the penalty that was taken was a fantastic penalty, but the save from the non-goalkeeper for Stanway Rovers was absolutely incredible. It's one you'll see on like these goalkeeper compilations in years to come, and like people are going to think it's a keeper. It's one of the best saves I've seen all season.
I haven't seen it.
It's literally top corner. He's gone with the wrong hand. He's tipped it over. We'll get Morton to clip that up, but
I didn't know about
unbelievable.
That. I saw someone mention it yesterday, but congratulations to them as well. I remember playing them. I think it was the start of this year in the FA Cup when Coney Heath drawn against them, and we battered them. And I didn't really think much of them. So when I saw yesterday that they'd won the league, I was a little bit taken back by that. But they've obviously got a good tune going throughout the season. So obviously the FA Cup is your first game, near enough. So obviously it's too early to tell.
What can happen from there, can't it?
Yeah, no. So congratulations to them.
Yeah, and obviously we posted on Easter Monday as well. Obviously it's Derby Day normally in non-league. So Woking Aldershot, which was a repeat of the FA Trophy semi. We know what happened there with the sending off, etc. Yeah. Woking went 3-0 up inside 20 minutes, and that was the game. They won 3-0. Who else did we have on there? We also had on there Ramsgate against Margate. So Ramsgate obviously won the league down there at Step 4 in the Isthmian South East Division, I believe it is. Margate in the playoffs, but there was 3,300 there to watch that today.
Jesus Christ.
Which is quite incredible. Margate won 3-1. Which is a great result for them, obviously, going into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that
very impressive.
That's an unreal number, isn't it? And then the final one, it's been a long weekend, I'll tell you that. Who else did we have? Yeah, sorry, St Albans City and Hemel, we touched on. Yeah, like you said, a few thousand there. And St Albans got a win over their Hertfordshire rivals. So.
Yeah, a bit mad. But just some quickly breaking news in Step 5. Dino, you there?
Yes, mate.
Certainly, Dino. I heard. Well, I know you've broken the news on your Potton Twitter, but you just want to announce your new managerial man.
Yeah, well, he's Jack Galatas has now been given the full-time job as Potton's first team manager. He's told me today. I phoned him and said, "When did you know?" And he's told me he's known for about a week. And I was like, "Why have you not told anyone?" But he wanted to finish the season off strong. He said that, look, we had 2 games left of the season. He wanted to show the board that they'd made the right decision, beating Crawley Green 6-1 at home, away 6-1 away, and then beating Biggleswade United 2-1 at the weekend. Was just the icing on the cake. So yeah, we got a message from the club secretary this afternoon, and the tweets have all gone out, and yeah, Jacko's got a full-time job, mate.
Yeah, brilliant. I've got a lot of time for Jack and the Galatas family. There were 3 brothers with me.
His brother's in goal now as well, isn't it? So
yeah, got Sam in goal as well. Yeah, no, I think that's the correct decision.
Well, I heard there was a few people that had applied for it. But by the sounds of it, it was already made up that Jacko was going to get it. So, look, it's one of them things. It's a tough game. He's now preparing for next season. I know he's been to quite a few games already, and there's still some sort of cup finals and stuff like that he's going to get down to have a look. But he sort of said on Saturday at the end of the game that everyone that is here today is going to be there for the start of the season, and he's just going to build on what he's done for the last few months that he was sort of interim manager until they gave it to him.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually delighted for him. I thought on their stream, you need to announce him when you've got someone already in house that's taken over from the previous manager who's been around the players. I never believe it's the right idea to go out and bring someone completely random in when you've got a good side there already. So I think doing it in house is probably the best decision for Potton right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's come in. I think Sam's kept 4 or 5 clean sheets since Jacko's come in as manager.
Do you think he'll kick him out the house or something if he lets the goal in or something?
well, I think he has a word with his dad, and his dad has a go in. One of them ones. But,
his dad's man's nuts as well, to be fair.
Oh, mate, they're all nuts. Jacko, I love Jacko to bits, but yeah, mate, they're... goalkeepers are a different breed, and the fact that he's had 3 sons that are all goalkeepers just goes to show that.
Yeah, it shows what type of fucking nut house he's been brought up in. Yeah. I love got some good lads there.
Yeah, we've got some good lads. He's brought some players in as well that he knew from previous times and coaching and playing. So he's just now brought players in that he knows. I mean, I know he says he's going to look at some other strengthening the team, which obviously you need to do as we finished 9th. It's not exactly where he wanted to finish, so we do need to strengthen the squad. I'm sure his assistant manager will be announced soon. I know he's got people in mind who he's had chats with and stuff like that. So yeah, it's looking interesting, mate.
Yeah, if we need a decent social media man, Tim's give me a shout.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate, I had to get that in there.
I'll let you have that one, mate. But what was the tweet the other day though? Was it something about someone's social media man, and then didn't your gaffer put about your
gaffer said I was a freak as well, mate? Now I think we've said it before. I think anyone who does his job, we're all lunatics, and there's no denying it.
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for confirming all that.
That's all right, mate. Anytime.
Cheers, pal. Yeah, so Jack Galatas, congratulations, being announced the new Potton United manager, and I wish them very well next season in the Spartan South Midlands Premier Division.
Yeah, well, he's done well coming in, hasn't he? Well, since he's come in, hasn't he? So.
Yeah, I mean, he took over Gary Jackson, who had that big operation to save his son's. Can't remember what it was now, but his son was struggling with something, and he took over the reins, and he's done a fantastic job, and he's been picking up wins along the way. So. No reason why he shouldn't be given the job on a permanent basis.
Very good. I think it's time for our first guest. So our first guest of the evening is all the way in Italy. It's Leonardo Aleotti, who I believe's father founded the FENIX Trophy.
Yes. Hi, everyone, and thank you for having me.
No problem.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So, for our listeners, people may have seen it on social media, but what exactly is the FENIX Trophy?
Well, the FENIX Trophy is this European tournament for non-professional clubs across Europe. The selection of the clubs is made on the identity of the club rather than the actual results on the pitch. So we have one semi-finalist who it's Beckham Sport. We just confirmation last week that they are avoiding relegation. So they're definitely not doing that well on the pitch domestically, but pretty well internationally. So that's that.
So and they're based in Belgium, is that right?
They're based in Antwerp, Belgium.
Right. Because so just going on to this season's trophy, just as we are now. So the semi-finals will take place on May the 10th, and that's Bertram Sport, who you just said based in Antwerp, against Caledonian Braves, who are based they're in the Lowland League in Scotland.
Yeah. Motherwell, I guess. So it's Motherwell. In between Glasgow and Edinburgh.
And then an all-English, so an all-Northwest semi-final, FC United of Manchester against Avro FC, who are also, from Greater Manchester. And that's taking place in Lake Iseo, is that correct?
Iseo, yes. Iseo. It's an Italian pronunciation.
So. I tried my best.
No, I'm doing my best on the English one, so I apologize in advance.
So going back to the club selections then, so you said it's not about who the best teams are, it's about their identity. What kind of identity do you look for? Is it the fan-owned clubs? Is it the culture?
Well, it's a mix of all these elements. These, if I may take a step back, which I trying to not get off track, but this is the 4th edition of the tournament, and since we started in 2021, we had 8 clubs back then. Now it's 16. So slowly but steadily we are evolving and expanding. The whole idea started from the perception we had, my father and I, here in Italy, of the in a way lack of pride in non-professional football. The whole essence of non-professional football was to imitate professional football in the same dynamics and everything, without failing to understand that there are some, not so great things happening in professional football, which are direct consequence of the money involved. So to have the same type of approach and without the same kind of money, and I'm not getting into the against modern football. It's okay if they have that money, they should use it. It's the laws of the market. But if you do the same thing without the money, then you just have the spoiled version, and it's sort of a degrading image of something that actually has a lot of perks. And I think the tournament stands to over-represent this type of perks, and the approachability, the virtual absence of barriers between the teams, between the clubs, and between all the communities that these clubs involve. And in a way that still connects them to the how can I say image of the flares of the European competition, of the Champions League, of the teams traveling across the countries to play one another, but all very connected to a relationship with the teams and with the hospitality and the very friendly attitude.
And the community as well, because I've seen the I've followed the competition for a while now, and I've seen the attendances that these games bring in. There's big crowds for these games. Obviously, like you said, people do kind of treat it like it's a Champions League game, but for the non-league system, right?
Yeah, absolutely not. People, and the more we go on, the more it happens, but people get behind it. To get back to your initial question, the elements are multiple and diverse. The whole idea was to find very different models of clubs in non-professional football, because we wanted to give to showcase all the best practices within non-professional football.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't want just to be, the fan-owned clubs, or to have one single approach to that kind. But we understand, we acknowledge the importance of a variety of models that can be creating a strong bond with the local community, such as what happens with the fan ownerships, for instance. We've seen with the Caledonian Braves a kind of fan ownership that actually creates a bigger community globally, because I think most of the owners in the Scottish team are from the US, for instance. And I personally witnessed some of them flying over from Philadelphia, Alaska, and whatnot to attend one of the European games. So then you have these multicultural clubs that are using football basically as a tool to facilitate I never like to say the word integration, because I think it's too mainstream, but the way foreigners enter a new society, and football is the most common language to get new friends and to get new people, to get to meet new people, and easier way in. Then you have the immense value that the virtual communities can create, and this is a bit not so with a traditional approach. In a way, we expose ourselves to the risk of plastic clubs and everything, but I think there is a lot of value in personalities that take upon themselves to start their own football club and to show to a bigger audience, maybe oftentimes a younger audience, what non-professional football is like. And I think, for instance, in the UK alone, Hashtag United is a great example, and the better these projects perform off the pitch and on the pitch, like football-wise, the more they also attract people from the virtual community into the real community. So that's also a great thing. I've seen this phenomenon happening in Finland, for instance. This FC, this Helsinki-based club, they have the same kind of ethos.
So would you say for these clubs that are competing in the FENIX Trophy that you're seeing the non-professional game in those areas really get more popular? Because obviously in England, the non-league pyramid has always been very popular. It's always attracted good crowds, but you don't really see it much in Europe. So now with the FENIX Trophy, those attendances are going up. Was that always your aim to begin with?
Well, in a way, I'm happy people liked it, so it's always a good thing. Now, for instance, to take the example of Berchem Sport, they play in the 4th division in Belgium, which is already a pretty high division against some historical clubs. They are an historical club themselves. They have a good attendance for the league, which stands at around 600, 700, 800 in regular home games. I'm not saying that they'll be on a special occasion, but in the 2 home games they had on the international stage, they sold out. They had 1,600 people. A lot of people who didn't even know, who wasn't regular at the weren't regulars at the Berchem Sport games. We knew about them, but maybe it was more focused. There are 2 bigger clubs in Antwerp, Antwerp and Germinal Beerschot. And they had a third neutral party to support it on an international stage, also because they have a little bit of a doubt on a European competition. So they got behind Berchem and they sold out both games, which I think is
that's good. Because they played Llanwit Major from Wales, didn't they?
Yes, they did. They did.
Yeah. So they're quite well supported in Wales. So that must have been a good game. Definitely to go and see. So your team are in it. Is that Brera Calcio in Milan?
Yes, Brera Calcio. Yes. Maya is worse than yours. So you can pronounce the name better than me, actually. So yeah, let's go for Brera FC to make it easier. Okay. It's also more international.
So, what's your connection or your father's connection to that club in Milan?
Oh, my Sorry, I had an limitation on my time online. The connection is actually my father founded the club back in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
I was very young at the time, so I don't remember. But he started the club in 2000. He started off the highest non-professional league, which is the Serie D, the 4th division. He reopened to football the Arena Civica, which is this historical Napoleonic stadium in the center of the city. I don't know if you've ever been to Milano, but it's quite a beauty, and I strongly recommend you go there, at least not for a football game, but to see it. Which was the stadium where Inter Milan and AC Milan used to play before moving to San Siro. And it has been 40 years without any football activity going on. We opened it to play there. We had Walter Zenga as our first coach, and keep in mind it was Walter Zenga 25 years ago, so it was fresh off retirement. He was not a player anymore. He finished his footballing career in the US like in 1998, I think, something like that. So it's like signing Gianluigi Buffon now. It's that kind of impact. So the news of the birth of this new team, of the third team of Milan after Inter Milan, AC Milan, or AC Milan, Inter Milan, the way depends on who you support, was actually really big, and we went on the news service at 8 p.m. so the main one and everything. Unfortunately, things didn't go as well on the pitch, so we got relegated in the first season. There's quite some stories about that season as well, but that's going to take too long to tell them. So what happened next was that my father understood that it was really hard, and especially really pointless in a city like Milano, where there are two global clubs. So at the end of the day, all the support you can get is already placed onto Inter Milan or AC Milan. It's really hard to emerge. Not football-wise, because football-wise you can get the loanees, for instance, and that's pretty easy. You know, you can get a competitive side just speaking from the two biggest clubs. But in terms of constituency, in terms of attendance and everything, it's really hard. So he decided to create some venue by using football as a tool to impact on other platforms. So he's done a lot of social impact projects, a lot of artistic projects, because Brea is itself the neighborhood in Milano where the art and now more fashion, because the progress made us the fashion city. Neighborhood in Milano is a very central area.
Mm-hmm.
And most notably, I think in 2003, and again, I was young at the time, he founded a club in prison, a club fully made of inmates.
Wow.
That was playing in the official pyramid in the lowest level, in the 9th division. And they were actually, of course, they were always playing at home. They were not allowed to any away games.
They're not allowed out. No away games.
No away games. But yet the crowd on the home games was pretty good, because people had nothing to do on the Sunday. So everybody, 500 people would come down and watch the game. So it was a really interesting.
No trouble?
What?
No violence in those games?
Actually, they won the Fair Play Award.
Wow.
They were actually behaving, and they had they were in the same group as because my father understood that there was some sort of a balance in the life in the jailhouse. You have the inmates, of course, but you also have the policemen, which are roughly as much as the inmates. So you need to keep the whole thing balanced. So he also funded a policeman team that was competing in the same league. And just out of coincidence, they happened to be in the same group. So that was a pretty interesting development. And as you can imagine, it was not easy for the how do you say, the prisoners to play against the guards. So it was a really moving-like story. The great thing is that eventually the team got promoted to the 8th division at the end of the season. No, it was
it's a great story.
People from around the world. It's a great story. The national television stayed from the whole year to shoot a documentary, and then they made TV fiction out of it, like inspired on the real events.
Wow.
So then he's done a lot of other things because my father is pretty creative. I don't want to bore you with the details. I will mail you a book with all the history, so you can give it a read. And up to 2020 actually, we had the second wave of the pandemic hitting Italy, the war in Italy, and for the second season, the league was suspended, and we had a lot of time to think. So we thought about creating this new identity for non-professional football, and we started the FENIX Trophy. Since then, the FENIX Trophy also helped in this. An old friend of my father from the US, an investment banker or something, came to Italy, watched our game against FC United of Manchester, which I have to say was one of the nicest games, not necessarily on the pitch, but outside of the pitch. The best games we ever played in the Arena Civica, lots of people, lots of fireworks and everything. And he decided to invest in the club and to bring it to the stock exchange market, to the NASDAQ stock exchange market. So in the US, in New York, in the Times Square. And as much as it looks crazy, that's exactly what happened. So a year later, in January 2023, we got listed. We launched the IPO with the resources we got from the IPO. We started this sort of I want to call it franchise, but it's really an original idea that I don't know how to explain because it doesn't have much to do with the Red Bull or the City strategy, for instance. Mm-hmm. But it was the idea of creating 3 teams in the top division in the world. We have one in Macedonia, one in Africa in Mozambique, and one in Asia in Mongolia, all with the same name, with the same logo, with the same color, with the same identity, that were to represent actually the same club. So it was not 3 different clubs. So it's not technically an MCO, but more of a multi-team, if you really wanna define it. But it was the same club, the same soul, and I want to say in a religious way, being 1 and 3 at the same time. Now it's also a good day because it's after Easter Monday and the Pope just passed away, so it's a very religious moment now. So, and I'm in Italy, so that's what we do.
I see all the games were suspended today, weren't they?
Yeah. The one game you can stay at home and watch the games, they suspended all the games, so that was not. That was unfortunate.
Not the best for you. So going back.
Sorry, I'm going off track, but yeah. So this is
really interesting how the other.
Basically, the club started the FENIX Trophy.
Yeah, and it like you said, it's growing. The first edition there was only, like I said, a few clubs. I just want to say Prague Raptors have lost in the last 3 finals. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, congratulations to them to get into the semi-finals because it was not easy. It was really not easy.
Do you think it's because the competition now is the teams are getting better, or?
Well, I think you have to look into the different season. Like the first season, it was really a surprise that they got to the final because they were in a group with clubs that were technically stronger than them, like based on the divisions they were playing in, but they were able to top the group and to go to the final, and then they lost against FC United of Manchester. The second season they were lucky to draw us in the final 4, so they avoided both FC United of Manchester and BK Skjold in the semi-final, so they were able to get to the finals. Last year they were actually really good. I was not only surprised pleasantly by the fact that they won their group, but they also were able to beat Enfield Town on penalties, which was an incredible achievement. And then they lost again on the final. But I think each event has to be taken individually. I think overall the level is increasing also due to a numerical data, because we had 8 at the beginning, so some of them might have been very good, like FC out of Manchester. Some of them may have been less good. So out of a big, how can I say, number of clubs, more clubs are very good. A lot of clubs that are very good didn't get to the Final Four. I think Prague Raptors, I think FC Oslo, who beat they beat Vålerenga in the Norwegian Cup.
Wow.
1 week, 10 days ago.
Yeah, I did see something about it. Yeah, wow, okay, interesting.
And they're playing again the second round against another first division club. So that's going to be interesting. I'm thinking Nantwich Major. I'm thinking BK Skjold, that proved to be really good and only conceded one. They lost by a minimum margin against Beckham Sport. So I think overall the quality is increasing. Of course, it's really hard to keep a balance in terms of a competitive balance with football-wise with the teams, with the clubs, because as I said at the beginning, it's not based on your ranking, but rather on your
like the identity,
history, on your identity, on the community you're able to create. And what I've seen is that oftentimes it's getting really dark here. I need to turn on the light. Otherwise, I look more tan than I actually am. No, so I see that oftentimes you get clubs that have this remarkable identity either on very low divisions because they are new, because they want to do something innovative, or very high in like almost semi-professional or semi-professional leagues because they have more financial availability and more constituency and everything. It's really hard to get that middle class because you may have some money to spend to invest on the home operation, and you're probably gonna do it on the football operation rather than creating something else. And at the same time, the sheer fact that you have that kind of money that you're investing means that you don't have even more flexibility to do whatever you want. So that's the hardest.
So did you find it challenging of getting teams to buy into the idea initially because of the financial side of traveling around Europe?
Well, what happened was that we first thought of it as something that should have been financed by the European Union.
Okay.
We had applied for a European grant in the Erasmus Plus program that would have given us enough money to have a paid central organization and to sort of pay out the trips that the clubs had to do. The issue was a matter of timing. So we found out that they would announce the outcome in September, and we had applied like in February, March. So it was pretty early. And we felt like, okay, we have two options. Either way, we wait. Like, if they give us the money, we go for it, or and we depend on that basically. But it wasn't hard because in September, then you would have had to start immediately, which is not simple, both in terms of organization and in terms of communication. The second option was to redefine the cost structure to find more space, more revenue opportunities for the single clubs rather than for the tournament, and in a way that would make it more affordable for all the clubs if they had enough time in advance to plan for it. And I have to say, we were already around 10 meetings in, so everybody was so hyped, everybody was so excited about the idea of doing something so innovative.
Yeah.
That everybody said, yes, no, let's do it anyway. Then if we get the money, even better, because we have more liquidity. But
yeah, well, I guess they get more exposure
anyway.
And you'll get sponsorships, etc., for coming over. So people, they
but
money back now, right?
At the beginning, the whole focus was on the tournament itself. We wanted to centralize everything. Then it really became a joint effort with some clubs taking care of communication, other clubs. Like it was really more of teamwork. And in terms of the cost and revenues, it was more related to each to his own. Like you have more, like in the live streaming, you have the opportunity to, you are doing the live streaming, so you can have your advertisement for your own main sponsor. It's not, there's no conflict of interest with the tournament. So more
it's really
chance for
bringing
them
all those
to
teams
get
together in kind of like one team to grow it. It sounds like that. So every team were helping to grow the tournament from the beginning.
Yes. In pushing the tournament, yes, but in terms of finding sponsorship from the tournament or for themselves, they would prioritize, and I think so, prioritize themselves in the tournament, and that's how we started the whole thing with the first 8 clubs, and that sort of approach just stayed, and 4 years later, I'm still convincing people to put their own money to participate in this tournament. So,
well, I think it's a brilliant idea, and I think a lot of people are going to buy more into it. Like you said, in Europe, the attendances are growing in non-professional. People falling out of love with the professional game. I know in England, the attendances this year have gone absolutely crazy. There's a team in step 5 of the non-league pyramid, so tier 9 below the Premier League. They had over 8,000 at their game on Saturday. Bury, yeah.
I'm familiar. They were supposed to play in the tournament this season.
Oh right.
Then they were then they were too highly successful. So they had an overload of fixtures, and they were supposed to play a Finnish club. Mm-hmm. So as you can imagine, also the away day in Helsinki, if you push it too forward, it's very hard because it gets really cold and really quickly. So they had to withdraw because of that. But I know. Actually, I meant to, now that I think about it, I meant to text my liaison there to congratulate them on the promotion. But thank you for reminding me.
No problem. So what teams are you looking for the 5th edition of the FENIX Trophy?
Oh, that's a tricky question. Well, it depends. I'm having the idea of the tournament going forward is to expand, if possible, in terms of numbers. Certainly in terms of countries represented, because I think I want to make this tournament as European, as wide as possible. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, going back to the financial concerns and everything, I think the steps we are taking for the future are to find ways to reduce the costs for the clubs.
Sure.
Because either way you increase the revenues, and so far I haven't been that successful, but or you reduce the costs. So it's one of the two. Already this season, the idea of getting to 16 clubs and moving to a knockout system allows 8 clubs out of 16 to play only 2 games, which are more affordable than 4 with the group stage. And I think that's already a great step. And moving forward, I would like next season to be non-depending on the amount of on the number of clubs involved, but I want them to be divided in the first round for sure, and most likely in the second round, on a geographical basis. So that even the away day, which is by far the biggest cost item on the club's how do you say, on the club's book, is gonna be reduced, because on the home game you have the ticket receipts, you have sponsors that can be displayed, so you have support from the municipality, so you have ways to get back the kind of money, and also the expenses can be lower to really a minimum. On the away games, you have to pay for 22 people to fly or to take a bus, so that you cannot reduce that much. So ideally, reducing the distance between the clubs will make the away day more affordable for the clubs and for the fans, because if you have some clubs, English club, for instance, Berkensport, they have a very loyal and very consistent fan base. So they are waiting for FC United of Manchester fans. Basically, they're just waiting for the away day to visit. They've been all over Europe now, and but sometimes you get clubs that have a decent and noisy support at home, but not as much when they fly away, because maybe they go away because maybe also they come from less wealthy countries, so that they don't have the same financial availability when it comes to traveling. Yeah. If you reduce the distance, fans might as well get in the car and drive 3-4 hours to get to
especially in mainland Europe. It's easier for trains.
Exactly.
And, of course.
Exactly. So I think that's going to be very good also in terms of the home picture that the games are going to give next season in terms of attendance and involvement.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I didn't answer your question as to which clubs I want to involve next season, mostly because I don't have any certainty yet, so I cannot, this. Even if I had, I wouldn't disclose it. But
of course,
I'm not even in that position. I have clubs I would like to have in the competition, so I'm reaching out to them and hoping to get positive results. Then, depending on the response, we will know if we stay 16 at the end of the day. It's been 4 years. We increased the number. It might even be good to stabilize the whole system without necessarily chasing the expansion. Mm-hmm. Also because it gets complicated. Where do you go from 16 to 22? But 22 is an unbelievable number. You need to only have
double again. Yes,
some sort of financial backing to get there. So there can be solutions in between. We'll see. I hope to get bigger for sure.
Sounds good.
Yeah, Leonardo, just quickly. First of all, what is it you love about the non-professional game?
What is it that I love about the non-professional game? Yeah. I love the atmosphere. I love the fact that one thing that I didn't love about the non-professional game, I will try to spin it. In Italy, I really felt this kind of tension, this kind of nervousness when I went to my own non-professional league games, and I didn't like this type of dynamics taking over. I really much rather have a tough match on the pitch, but a good exchange before and after the game. And I think that's why we created this tournament to have first and foremost this type of attitude. Then it gets even more interesting because it's international. So the kind of exchange you have is not between Lewes and Brighton, which are relatively close towns, but between a German team and a Danish team, like you really have also the element of the cultural exchange there. So I think that's also very, very nice. And I've witnessed it several times, and I think it's amazing the way football brings people together. Generally speaking, I think that's also what I like the most about non-professional football as opposed to professional football. The absence of this barrier with the players, with the football club itself. It's when I go to San Siro, it's like going to the theater. Not because of the noise, particularly because there is a good atmosphere, but you get in there, you have no connection with what the show with the show happening, and you get in, you clap, and you get out. Yeah. So that's not as fun as going to a football game and really, getting to know also the people behind the scenes and the protagonists in the main characters in the game.
That's exactly the same here. That's why a lot of people are now moving to non-league. Like you said, especially the Premier League, there's no connection to maybe someone sat 10 seats away from you, let alone to the people on the pitch. So that's where non-league really comes into its own.
No, I think, in generally speaking, in Italy, in England, you are in a way blessed to have a very different football culture. So at the end of the day, a non-league game is already pretty advanced from the standards we are used in Europe in terms of organization, in terms of attendance, in terms of even level of football. Because I've seen FC United play, they are not particularly strong, and I don't mean to, no insult intended, but they are mid-table in the seventh division. But I reckon they would be a good club in the fifth, not the fourth, but the fifth division in Italy for sure. And we are talking about Italy; we're not talking about a small country. So I think the level of football in England is very high. The culture, the football culture is incredible. I think only Belgium and Germany, out of my experience, get close to that. But France, Spain, Italy, they tend to be very different. They tend to really look like the image I wanted to defeat when I started the FENIX Trophy. And the only thing I don't like about English football is the money. Like, even at a lower level, the money is obscene.
Obscene.
And I think it's a direct consequence of the fact that it's overloaded in the top division, so it's pouring down. It's in the same way. But if you could do it with less money, because I think the involvement is already there, and you don't need extra resources to that. Oftentimes put the club in a very dangerous situation, because you feel like you need to spend more than you can, and a lot of clubs fold. And
well, Bury, for example,
it's very unwise.
Yeah, totally agree. So who's going to win this season's competition? If you had to say, come on.
Yeah, I'm going to say FC United of Manchester again.
Yeah.
I'm going to say FC United of Manchester again.
And that'll be
Real Madrid, the Real Madrid of the FENIX Trophy, basically. That would be their third title in 4 seasons.
Yes, yeah.
And that would be also their third European title at the end of the day, which would tie with the Manchester United European titles. So, or not, on the Champions League. Then I'm pretty sure they want some European Super Cup or something like that. But in terms of Champions League to FENIX Trophy, if they win, they're tied. So
yeah,
they have that thing going on.
Well, yeah, fingers crossed for that. Then that's definitely a story that we can get behind. But Leonardo, thank you very much for your time this evening. It's been great to learn about the FENIX Trophy. Like I said, we've followed it for a long time, and we just hope it grows, because it's an amazing competition and it's a great concept.
Thank you very much again for having me, to give me this platform to speak. I thank you for the kind words to the tournament. I'm really hoping that it makes this kind of impact, and whenever I travel to the games, I see this kind of excitement and joy in the people's eyes, and that's what the biggest satisfaction for me now. It sounds cheesy, but that's the way it is. And
what football means to people, so you're bringing that.
Absolutely. I've seen some wonderful, the most wonderful feedbacks on the tournament haven't come from the BBC or from ESPN, but more rather from the guy at the stadium who had way too many pints, but was speaking his heart out.
Yeah.
So no, it's wonderful. I'm afraid I won't see you on in Isio next month.
It would be nice.
We'll stay in touch, and I'm always happy to speak about it. To stay in touch.
I'm sure we'll catch up next season's tournament. For sure.
Absolutely. To keep this non-league network together. And of course, if you have other suggestions, then we talked about it. If you have other suggestions in England as to remarkable clubs that could be a good fit, I'm open to suggestions.
Cool.
No, brilliant. Cheers, Leonardo. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Leonardo. Take care. Ciao.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Ciao. Bye-bye. I'll tell you what, mate. That was, for something I never knew nothing about, I was very invested in that.
It's amazing. I mean, like I said, I've followed, I wouldn't say I've religiously followed it, but the competition has kind of been on my radar for a few years now. just purely because of the FC United of Manchester. I think Enfield Town played in it as well last year. But to speak with the co-owner, the co-founder of it, just an idea that him and his dad had during COVID because their club couldn't play, and to what it is now, I think it's absolutely incredible.
Absolutely. I was literally, you know what I'm like. I can hardly listen to anyone for longer than that, but I was massively invested in that, and literally, I knew who was coming on, but I didn't really know the depths of what he does and that. But bloody hell, that's a fantastic thing to be on board with. I'd love to do something like that. Yeah,
100%. Well, like I said, the semi-finals and final the 10th and 11th of May of this year, so maybe a bit of a tight turnaround, but next season for sure. But looking to get to some games.
Get Burko over there, mate. Get the clubs over there, boy.
All I can think about with the prisoners versus guards. I had meme machine running through my head the whole time.
Oh man, I was mad invested in that. To be fair, but,
unbelievable. Really,
no, that's brilliant. And if you're not very well known with it, make sure where can they find that trophy, Dan?
Yeah, so obviously Twitter is the main platform for them. So FENIX Trophy, FENIX on Twitter, and also their website phoenixtrophy.eu, which will give you the updates of the tournament. You've also got the archive, obviously, about us and how to get in touch with them. So, if anyone else is interested, Leonardo is very open, very forthcoming. So I've spoken to him for the last couple of days on a lot of other topics and a lot that we've spoken on as well. So it was amazing. It was amazing to get him on. And what a brilliant concept.
Absolutely. And so we've just heard from our first guest, Leonardo. Our second guest is a completely different one. He's a chairman of a double title winning side of AFC Welwyn. It's T. Big T. How are you, T?
Very good, thank you. Not too bad.
Congratulations.
Little bit hungover.
I bet. Was it a bad one?
Well worth it.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was really good. So we had a bit of a celebration on Saturday night, which was good. Not too mad. Obviously, I'm kind of a player, but kind of an owner as well. So it's a bit an odd one. So I still get invited out on the team nights out, but I'm definitely too old for that. I'm probably too old for the football, to be honest. But yeah, I'm still definitely too old for the team nights out.
Gonna say that's double aching. Your limbs are aching. Your head's aching as well today, I'm sure.
Exactly.
Right. First of all, T, let's take it right back, mate. How did AFC Welwyn come about? What were the ideas, and why did you want to do this? What you're doing?
Yeah. So look, obviously, lots of people look at AFC Welwyn and they probably form their own opinion of AFC Welwyn based on what they see online and things like that. And there's obviously been so many different characters involved in this football club already on this short journey. So, the club is what people see from the outside, really, but, from my point of view, if I when I kind of sat down a couple of years ago, like, first of all, I love football. So I'm thinking my career's nearly over. What am I going to do once my career's over? Wasn't really sure if I wanted to go into football management. Wasn't sure whether I wanted to go into coaching, but did kind of like the idea of thinking of growing a football club. So my first thought was I went and knocked on the door of a few non-league football clubs, had some meetings with some very, very old committee members that were not interested in any of my ideas around how we could look at making the club, more interesting to a younger audience, how we can bring that next following through of people that go and watch non-league, because the reality is a lot of the people that do watch non-league in 15 years time, they might not be about, it's an older generation. So how do we get younger people involved? But none of these football clubs, first of all, weren't interested in kind of relinquishing any control in that element. And they weren't really interested in my ideas. So I thought, well, what's the next step then? Is starting the club from scratch, which is obviously way harder. We are way behind so many other clubs at our level. And whilst we might, look good from the outside in terms of all these followers and all these things going on, we haven't got a home. We haven't really got a youth set up or anything like that right now. And these things are really, really vital for you to be able to push on. So these are all things that we're kind of having to try and tackle whilst we're also trying to achieve success on the pitch, but then also trying to grow our following as well. Because we started day one and we didn't have one fan. at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? We didn't have one person that had ever watched AFC Welwyn. And whilst some of these other clubs that we play against, you know, they have got a bigger fan base. Some of them have been around for 100 years, you know. So yeah, from our point of view, you know, there is a lot to tackle, but we can't do all of it. And we just have to do the things that are most important. And I think it's really tough to tackle everything, as I said. So we've got a hit list of all things that we want to achieve over the next 5 years. And we've got to kind of do them one by one, really. And what's the most important? So we've got an agenda meeting next week. Look at what the most important things are to the club over the next 12 months. We'll tackle them. And then, you know, the following year, tackle them again. Do you know what I mean? But one of the most important things for me is I always want to. I've played for clubs before where we didn't compete. I actually prefer either being at the top of the table, challenging for something, or in a bit of a relegation battle where you've actually got to try and get yourself out of it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I hate the clubs that just sat around the middle and haven't ever done these things. So for me, obviously, my preference is not to be in a relegation battle. My preference is to be challenging at the top of that of whatever league we're in, really. So that's always something that I'd always want to be able to achieve every year, you know.
Yeah. So obviously you've decided to form AFC Welwyn. You got a ground share with Welwyn Garden City Football Club. Started out with Richard James as your manager. He's a good friend of yours. Obviously, you played under him as well. How did that all come around at the start? Was he always going to be the man to start you off?
Yeah, so look, I think one of the things that you have to be realistic with is this club is moving at a pace that is going to outgrow people that are within this club. You know, that is playing personnel. You know, if you're going up the leagues, unfortunately, the ones you had from the year before might not be good enough. That is the same with people that are running the football club. You guys will see, whilst everyone calls me the chairman, I'm not actually the chairman. I'm the owner. I brought someone in that has got experience of running big charities, run big organisations, manage committees, manage boards, because I've never done this before. So I'm like, okay, bring someone that has done it. That's the same with the management as well. Rich was the perfect person to kick this off with because he has got bundles of enthusiasm, and that guy will work his arse off to get things done. I mean, first season, I think he was manager, he was kit man. He used to look after all the equipment. He used to make sure that everything was sorted, everything was organised. He used to stress himself out for it. By the time kickoff was there, he looked like he was going to keel over and die. But you can't, you guys will know this, being involved in football, you can't get anywhere unless you've got doers, and you need people that are going to be willing to do it. You know, a lot of people talk a good game, but actually when it comes to like going in there and everyone's gone, you know, you've just gone and lost 2-0 and everyone's depressed and they all leave, and then you've got dirty kit on the floor, and then after the dirty kit you don't want to leave the change room in a shithole, so you then got to tidy up. Do you know what I mean? It's just all little things like that. You can't, it's
the little bits that add up.
Yeah, exactly. So Rich was the perfect person to kick this off with because he was someone that was willing to get his hands dirty, and he got his hands dirty, and he got to the point where the club, I think, were in first position, I think, at that point. And there was a couple of situations where I was putting, you know, significant pressure. And that pressure actually probably impacted our friendship a little bit. And we probably made the decision between ourselves that probably it's the right sort of time for Rich to step away for a period of time. He just moved house as well at that point in time. So he used to live 10 minutes from the club. He now lives 45 minutes from the club. That was, again, a bit of pressure and things like that. And I think one of the things that I've set this football club up, you know, and I want to make sure that I remain friends with everyone and we keep good relationships. And Rich is still involved with the club. So, you know, and he'll remain involved with the club. And, you know, he's now on board and giving his views and kind of on a committee level and things like that, which is really, really useful because he's kind of seen it from ground up, really. So, yeah, he was the first person. He was the best person. I wouldn't have chosen anyone else to do it with, to be honest.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I know Richard personally, and he does put his heart on his sleeve, and everything he does is with 100% of himself. But obviously, the change happened. Was it Liam that came in?
Yeah, Liam came in. So he was Richard's assistant manager for a period of time. And he came in. Once again, he come in and he finished the job in terms of what we needed. Came in there, looked at it with a fresh pair of eyes, gave a few players some opportunities. It really proved him right, that he made the right decisions. And yeah, just kind of got us over the line. And you know what it's like, guys. You played in teams before where, you know, sometimes the change is good. You know, whether it's, you know, like you see some football managers, don't you? They go in, they get a job on a temporary basis and they do a really, really good job because it's a change. You know, actually, the longevity might not be there, but that change can be good. But look, Liam come in, he done a really good job and he got us over the line and got the job done. Lot goes on behind the scenes to make sure we can support the management team with getting the job done, but ultimately he came in. Liam's a PE teacher, so he's really, really organised. He came in. I think the first time Dave come in, he asked me to bring a TV down because he's got a PowerPoint presentation that he wanted to do, all this sort of stuff. But just refocused everyone, and he started looking at different things that maybe Rich didn't look at. So, you know, Rich is a motivator, and he'll get you in there, and he'll make sure you're all fired up, and you walk on out that pitch that you want to go out there, and you're going out to war. Liam was very different. Came in a bit more methodical, looked at things, PowerPoint presentations and things like that, and it just worked, that balance, and maybe that got us over the line because we had a bit of that kind of heart in us, and then we had a bit of the like more structural organisation stuff towards the back end of the season, and maybe that chemistry between those two managers is actually what done it, really.
Yeah, no, for sure. So obviously you tipped Bovingdon to the title. I think it was by 5 points in the end. What was that on a personal note for yourself, being an owner of a football club and forming in that same year and winning the first league title at your first attempt? Yeah,
now to be fair, look, I make no secret about the expectations of the football club, and I'm not trying to suggest that it is easy, but the reality is we all know that we spent money when we went into step 7, and probably 60-70% of the clubs who were playing at probably were paying no money whatsoever. So my expectation was to achieve. So it sounds a bit silly, but it was almost relief that we won, because I don't mind putting money into something or paying for success, but it would have left a really bitter taste in my mouth if you're paying and you don't succeed, because now you lost a load of money and you haven't won the league. So, you know, so I don't want to sound arrogant by saying I expected it, but I felt that I put the resources in place to achieve that. Do you know what I mean? Now, you guys will know, again, you start going up to step 3 and levels like that, don't matter how much money you've got. There's someone that's got more money than you. So, but actually, at that step 7 level, no one's really paying much. So if you go in there with a bit of cash and you bring some quality players in, you should be able to, you know, give yourself a good chance being there or thereabouts. And again, one of the other things is it's all about facilities, making sure you've got facilities. So again, within those leagues, you guys probably would have seen it before, where actually the team that finishes top doesn't even go up because they haven't got the facilities, they haven't got the floodlights. So
it's a massive thing, isn't it? In those feeder leagues to have the facilities, like there's so our reserves play in the Thames Valley Premier League, and there's teams in there that have won it 12, 13 times a piece back through the years, but have never been able to make that step up into, I guess, the non-league pyramid as it is, the one steps 1 to 6, because of those facilities. They haven't got the infrastructure or maybe the ambition to do that.
Yeah, well, listen, I do understand it, because look, there's a lot of effort that goes in at step 7, and you go to step 6, and then you go to that level. There's a bit more traveling, there's a bit more commitment. You know, you are going to have Tuesday night games away and things like that. So look, I understand it, and I think in our league, I think, you know, probably a prime example, I think when we were in step 7 was Old Bradwell. I think they've won it. I don't even know the time, but a shed load of times. But I think it's a good group, a bunch of players that all know each other, all get on well. They enjoy their football. They're a great team. They know how to win games of football. You know, and from their point of view, they can't go up. So look, I would have been really disappointed, and there was an element of relief, because I went out there and said, this is what we're going to do. We want 7 promotions in 12 years. So if I didn't win promotion number 1, you know, straight away, you know, the whole kind of agenda around the club in terms of where we want to get to potentially comes a bit of a farce. So I think we've got to, you know, and I personally think in our first 4 years, I think we have to achieve 3 promotions for it to become a reality. So I would have been disappointed if we didn't achieve year 1.
Yeah, no, for sure. So you won the league title in the summer. What was you doing in the summer? Obviously, you're planning now for step 6. You kept hold of Liam. What was your view, and what direction did you have to make now to try and achieve promotion from step 6?
Yeah, to be fair, we were one of the most important things for us was obviously, first of all, retaining the players that we felt that we needed to. You know, we've got some unbelievable talent. I mean, you look at players like, you've got Jack Bradshaw, you've got James Potton, you've got Scotty Bridges. You know, you've got players like this that, you know, that even though they dropped down to step 7, they have probably got a lot of clubs knocking on their door. So the most important thing for me was I didn't want to have to go out there and say, Liam, you've got to rebuild a whole new team. So a lot of it was about retaining those players. But the reality is I don't really get involved in that side much. listen, I do have conversations with players if I feel that we need to try and get players over the line, because actually a part of joining this club is, players do get rewarded financially, but part of it is about, this is what we're going to go and do, and we want to take you along on that journey for us. And we've got a few players now that I think can probably be with us, even if we continue to achieve promotions, over the next kind of 2 to 3 years. I mean, our goalkeeper, he's 17 years old. He's unbelievable. You've got Carter, unbelievable player. But I just think he can keep growing and growing. You've got Sears now as well. He's another one. He's only young, but I think he can keep going and going. Do you know what I mean? So there's a few players now. I've got them experienced ones who they've been there, done it. And then we've got other players who I think can be with us for the next, 2-3 seasons. We've got Kendall as well. He's only young, So hopefully these players, I would love it if these players can literally grow in line with the club's success, and we just kind of take it. How good would that be? We look back in 2 years' time, we're playing at step 4, and we've got 6 or 7 players that played with us at step 5. Do you know what I mean? Not step 3, step 6. So.
Well, that breeds the culture as well. And what you're saying about you start with no youth teams, anything like that, that then proves to obviously potential youth teams that there is that pathway there to keep growing with the club and to be ingrained within that culture. So, that would be amazing to see.
It's a massive thing for us, the youth, to be fair. And it's something which we have been looking to establish for the last 2 years. And we have got an under-14 JPL team. We've just launched a ladies team as well. So that went live today. But the youth team, I'm having conversations with local youth teams as well. And I'm talking about partnerships. I'm talking about how we can do things together, because ultimately, if we set up our youth, we become a competitor of theirs. And I've been speaking to a few clubs that have got a significant number of kids that are already signed up with them, that we're saying, look, why don't we do some kind of partnership? Saves us having to build a youth set up. So those conversations are going on in the background, because I'd love to have a pathway all the way from the under 7s right up into our development team and into first team.
Yeah. No, for
sure. I think that's the way to do it as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And like we said, we spoke a while ago, obviously not on this platform, but you said about when you were taking over, you wanted to build a relationship with those clubs around you rather than burning bridges and making them rivals, because you are in the same town, you are in the same location. And to have that, especially with Welwyn Garden City being at step 4, where you were step 7, step 6, or step 6, it's good to have those connections rather than burning the bridges, because you never know when you're going to rely on each other.
Yeah, I think it's quite important. Look, there's with Twitter and with everything. Look, people will hate some of the things that we do anyway. Yeah, it's just how it is. But we can't please everyone. But I think with the local community, it's really listen. I don't mind if a football club 50 miles away doesn't like us because we went and beat them and let them have it. I can deal with that. But what I don't want to do is the local community. We need to engage them. We need to get them involved in AFC Welwyn. We need them to feel like they're part of it as well. So we invite a load of the different youth teams down to come and do mascots and bits and pieces like that. We're trying to keep friends with everyone in our local area, really, because unless we can do that, we're not going to be able to achieve the crowds that we want to achieve for it to become a football league club. And I think the examples that I've looked at, you've got other towns. I think probably the best example in terms of a football league club is Fleetwood. They've got a really small population, but they made it all the way to League One. But we're not going to be able to do that unless we're ingrained in the local community. People know who we are, and we need them to like us, to be honest, as well. So,
yeah, for sure. So let's talk about this season then. Before we go into the obvious, you're opening. I think it was your opening 10 games with 1 defeat in this division. Did you think you was going to probably go and piss it early doors, or did you feel that the level was a lot better and that it was going to get a lot tougher than what you thought it might have been?
So I do feel it's weird. I feel like the top 5 or 6 clubs are way better than any team in step 7. But then underneath that, any of them could lose any other day, depending what side they put out and things like that. So that part, I felt like maybe 60% of your games, you felt quite comfortable. But when you're playing those top 5 or 6 clubs, if you're not on it, they can beat you. You think about it, you've got Desbury, you've got Moulton, you've got Eton Stoke and Urchester, Amptill, these teams, they're good teams, So I felt more comfortable last season at step 7 in terms of thinking that we were going to achieve it. It might be a little bit because our biggest rivals up until the end in step 7 were actually Codicott. And I knew all the lads that played for Codicott because I played the season before with Meza over there anyway. So, and I think I knew the players they had. And in my head, I believed we had the better side. Those boys done an unreal job getting to where they got to with no budget, bringing the players in they bought. And the players that they brought in were way better than step 7. But I just felt we had the resources, when they'd go and sign a player, we'd go and sign someone, so we just had the resources to be able to go out there and, kind of beat them to, the quality that we could bring in and things like that. So whereas actually suddenly we go into like step 6 now, our probably biggest signing, which gave me kind of a bit of confidence, is when we signed Jordan Brown, brought him in. I'm thinking, right, he's a level above. Yeah. And he's going to bring another level to our game, so, but we've done that 2 or 3 times the season before, bringing in James Potton, bringing in Dan Green, bringing in Bridgeau, bringing in Jack Bradshaw, we've done it 3 or 4 times where people are like, bloody hell, look at who they've signed. But this year, Jordan, it only happened that once really. Yeah, we brought in some other good players as well, but Jordan is he's kind of your marquee signing, I suppose. But I never felt as comfortable. I mean, Desborough could get 91 points and not win it. So that shows you, like, if I was Desborough's manager, I would be disappointed getting 91 points and not winning the league. So I've never felt as comfortable because there was the pressure on from Desborough the whole time. Their games in hand. So yeah, I never felt like we're going to go and piss it this time round.
No, that's fair enough.
Pressure.
What? It's just for the listeners. You obviously. Brett Donnelly's now your manager. When did he come in, and what was the crossover with Liam? Like, how did that all come about?
He came in around December time, really. So some of the things that we kind of spoke about around what we wanted to do in terms of development of players and bits and pieces like this, Liam didn't necessarily agree with all the things that we were kind of doing. Once again, me and Liam are like great. We've been mates for years. Like, we play squash together once or twice a week. We're really, really good mates. And it came a couple of times where just things were affecting our relationship again. And again, me and him sat down and we were like, we don't want that to happen. So we've got an option here, guys. Either, we need to kind of change things, or Liam, this is the options really. And Ian kind of said to me, it's like, look, he said, I won't want to build our relationship, but I don't know if I can work with that. So I want to kind of step away. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I accept his resignation. But then obviously that left me managerless at that point in time. I did know that obviously Brett had just been sacked from Hitchin, but that wasn't a factor in our kind of decision making around kind of the way that kind of Liam moved on. That wasn't a factor whatsoever. And if I'm honest with you, never thought Brett would come to us. So me and Brett grew up playing football together. And I'm going to be honest with you, we never really liked each other on the pitch. I had it off probably 2 or 3 times. He's never really like playing against me, and I've always been centre off. He's been centre forward. He's all arms and elbows, and I'm always one of the big aerial battle. He was good in the air, so whenever we played against each other, it was always the referee always had to get involved. I just popped him a message. I think he was going on holiday at that point in time. I think he tried to pie me off for a little while, but obviously kept on at him. And obviously, my role within this club is I've gone out there and said we're going to go and get these 7 promotions in 12 years. So I've got to make that happen. There's things that I have to do behind the scenes to make sure, going to find a new manager and how we're going to do it. So I was on him. I didn't leave him alone. I've worked in recruitment my whole life. That's my background. So I've done headhunting before, where I've had to go and headhunt and chase people down, and the company's given me a remit in terms of going out there. We need to go and find this person for us. So I'm on it. I'm on that person. I'll find out I'm connected with someone on LinkedIn who's a third cousin of theirs. I'll ring them and say, do you know what I mean? Like, whatever it takes to do it. So that's probably where my skill set works really, really well with this, in terms of Brett's asked me a couple of times to speak to a few players to get them over the line as well. I think that's worked quite well. So kind of using skills for my day-to-day life to kind of support the football club, and recruitment's probably one of them. Obviously we've got a vision. Sometimes it seems a bit bonkers what we're saying we want to go and do. And so I think people have got to talk to me to find out, well, how are we going to do it? Because I think that you can't go into mega detail on every single thing you ever tell anyone. But, on the face of it, it's like 7 promotions in 12 years. It's not possible. But actually, there's so much stuff that sits behind that about how are we going to do it and what are we going to do. And so I think until people sit down and talk to me, and you probably need 2-3 hours with me to realise, okay, well, maybe that kind of makes sense, really. Even the whole social media things, people probably think, why has he done the whole social media side of things? But what I've got to go and have a look at is, okay, as a football club, what can we very, very quickly do better than our competitors? Now, I can't go and suddenly bring 500 people through the door. That ain't going to happen. It's not realistic. But a lot of football clubs do social media really poorly. So actually, if I get that part right, this part here, I can be better than everyone very, very quickly. And I think in year one, we're probably better than the majority of clubs in and around us very, very quickly. So that element, again, how do you make the club financially sustainable? Well, it would be great to have 500 fans coming through. It'd be great to own our own club, and then they're all buying beer and they're all buying burgers and all this. But we don't have our own ground. So how are we going to do it? Well, actually, it needs to come through sponsors. Well, how do you get sponsors? Well, you need to make sure you're out there and you're getting more views than anyone. So for us to be ranked 42nd across every single football club in the country, you look up 10 lines and you've got Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? Things like that. So you've got to look at where we can be better than our competitors. And that was an area that we can. And what does that do? It can generate sponsorship. What does sponsorship do? It makes club financially sustainable. What does that do? It means we can buy our own ground. What does that do? It means we can actually facilitate having a youth structure because we've got pitches. Like, there's a big kind of business that sits behind everything that we do, really.
Yeah, no, well, we're going to get onto your social media thing. Let's just quickly clear up this season. Brett's obviously come in 23 wins in 23 games, and you were crowned champions yesterday. What an achievement.
Yeah, no, really, really, really big achievement. I think this one was, like I said, I never, ever felt until last week that this was definitely going to get over the line. When Brett took the job, he said to me, we haven't got much margin forever. And I said, I know that. He went, we can probably only lose maximum of 2 games. And all I said to him, I was like, can you do it? He was like, I think I can do it. I was like, okay. And the confidence of him, obviously, I think we looked at it the other day. He's had 3 seasons in the Spartan League. He had Division 1 with Stockfold, Prem with Stockfold, and he's had Division 1 with us. I think that ended up, it's like 100 odd games or something. I think he's only lost 7. Do you know what I mean? So we said we don't want to pigeonhole him, but he seems to be able to. He nailed it. But yeah, look, he's made a big difference in terms of the consistency levels. I mean, you guys, listen, we laugh and joke about some of the videos on social media, but his standards are so high that you can't turn up to training and not be on it. You can't turn up to a match and not be on it. I played for the team, and I think I turned up to one training session 5 minutes late. Coming in, I was on my phone or something, and he fucking let me have it in front of everyone. Like, mate, sit down, fucking, this ain't good enough. Like, I'm sitting there thinking, well, fair play. He's actually right. Like, if I'm going to do stuff like that,
everyone the same as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
he has no issue telling anyone. He don't care who it is. He doesn't care who it is. And you guys might sit there thinking, oh my God, them subs got a bit of a hard time the other day. If that was me, I would have got the same treatment. That's it. That's just how he is. So, but that's because his standards are so high and what he expects from people. He's always on edge, never thinks, he's never satisfied, never happy. I mean, I'm not sometimes saying, just enjoy it, Brett. You want a game, man, just enjoy it. He's like, no, we've got this game on that night, and I've looked through the whole table, and if we drop points at this one and that one and that one, and like, this is like on a Sunday, the game after we've just beat someone 10-1 or something. And he's like, we don't do this, we don't do this. So you guys wouldn't, you can't imagine how much he's on it, and like, he lives it. But I think you probably can get that from his social media and get that from who he is and the way he is. But
yeah, well, we had him on a few weeks or 3 months ago, didn't we? And you could tell from the conversation there that, like, he lives and breathes it. But that is what is catapulting you, or will catapult you forward with those kind of standards.
Yeah, well, he said to me straight away, he said, if you guys want to genuinely climb up the ladder, he's like, standards have got to be raised straight away. We used to train on just a Tuesday, play on a Saturday. Come in, he went, that ain't good enough. If you want to be playing at step 5, clubs will be training Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. He went, we're going to start that from now. So I was like, all right, cool, do what you want to do. So he changed things straight away. He came in, he looked at some of the money that people were earning. He's like, I'm not going to be paying that sort of money. He said, but we'll incentivize people in other ways. But people will always look at Brett and think, he's screams and shouts, he's going to let you have it, and blah, 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 blah. He is what I would class as a player's manager. So I think some people can be a football club manager. And what I mean by that is they will always side on what's right for the football club around their decision-making process. Brett will always he's always on the player's side. He's always, and just give you an example, like if there's players' money and things like that, like we had a situation previously where we had a very, very clear structure in terms of how you get paid, what you get paid for, if you miss this training session, if you've done this, if you've done that. And he kind of come in and he actually flexed it a little bit in terms of it was like, no, you know, like this player, they've worked their arse off, they're doing everything they can. And this player here, like, I think if you're on the bench, you only got half your money or something like that. And he said to me, he's like, no, if the player's going to come here and he's going to commit his whole day, just because I've decided to not put them on that day, doesn't mean they shouldn't be getting all their money. So he came in and he like, his decisions are very much kind of, when he makes them, he kind of thinks, how can he support the football player? Do you know what I mean? So he's plenty of times he's come to me with proposals and things like this for players and things like that. And ultimately, you know, we get to a point where we can make something work really. And he's pretty good in that way. And I think if I was a football manager, if you played under Brett for 3 weeks, I think you'd probably hate him. I think if you played under Brett for 3 months, you'd love him. That's how I think he's like, because I think if you experience 3 weeks of Brett and you haven't got through that period to see that he's going to give you some love at some point, and you know he's going to ring you at that time at the weekend, or he's going to see how you are, or he's going to pull you before, and he's going to sound, give you an opportunity, whatever. But I think if you have a little 3-week stint with him, and I think we had a couple of players leave because they probably were like, oh fuck, what has happened here? If they maybe stayed a little bit longer, they would have just seen a bit of a different side to him.
Yeah, no, for sure. He is. I would say he is a really passionate man, and even with myself, like just as a mate, like he's really like you can really tell that he's got your best interests at heart. Is probably the right thing I was going to say. Just quickly, can you just cover up what's going on with this Long Buckby fixture? Why weren't it played, and what's going on?
So it all stemmed back from the very first game, start of the season. We went to play against them, and we just you have to do a standard email where you confirm the fixture. Yes, we'll be attending. And one of the things that we always do, we email them and just say, just to let you know that we'll be bringing our media team with us. Hopefully you allow them to be able to take photos and take some video footage. Of course, we'll give you access to the video footage, blah, blah, blah. Most times we never hear back from the football club. They just say, yeah, no problem at all. They come back and said to us on the first game, no footage, no photography. We have got vulnerable children here. And we were like, okay, fine, we completely accept that. We understand that if you've got vulnerable children here, not a problem. So what we're willing to do, if you're happy with this, we will provide you with all the footage before anything goes out, and anything you want us to take out, we will remove. The answer was just no. We're like, okay, well, that's a bit odd. We asked them for a reason why. We went to the league and just said, look, they just feel like they're maybe being unreasonable. Anyway, we went to the game and just agreed that, okay, we won't take no footage or anything like that. When we got to the game, Ollie Sims was there. Videoing, and they allowed him to video, and they just wouldn't allow us to video. So you can imagine we just got a bit pissed off because we thought, all right, you guys are only doing it just to piss us off, really. So I think things didn't start on a great foot. I think our secretary, who's my missus, had an argument with their secretary. I think she'd come over, and we obviously get to the game really early. So if you get to the game like 1:30, there's no one at the gate, so you walk into the ground. So obviously anyone that was part of the club walks into the ground. I think their secretary come running over. Started saying to my missus, you haven't paid, bro. My missus said, well, I'm a committee member, I don't need to pay. And my missus at the time, I think she was about 4 months pregnant. So she had left her committee pass in the car. But I don't know if you've been to Long Buckby, but it's a bit of a walk back to the car. Yeah. So my missus was like, oh, I've left my pass in the car. And she was like, well, you have to go and get it there. I'm not going to allow you. She was like, oh, 4 months pregnant kind of thing. So they didn't hit it off. So now you've suddenly got a situation where the media team are feeling, well, you've just done this to piss us off because you're letting other people film. If there was actually vulnerable children there, you probably shouldn't let anyone film, or you need to at least vet that situation before that happens. Because look, there's loads of reasons why there's children that can't be filmed, and we understand that, we get it. So that all happened. That game kicked off, and we won the game, moved forward, and then we went to play them the other week. Now I don't know if I didn't know too much what was going on at Long Buckby, but we get the Spartan reports that come through just saying this club is doing this club's doing that. I think they owed about 575 quid in fines that they hadn't paid, and the league were saying that by the Monday after our game on the Saturday, that if they hadn't paid those fines, that they will be expelled from the league. We only found that out after they had already not fulfilled 2 fixtures where the other teams got the wins. And it sounded like they're having a bit of a financial difficulty then, keeping up with their fines and all bits and pieces like that. So I don't know the real reason, but they messaged us. We said to them, they said, we can't, we're not accepting you to do any filming. We were like, how come? And they said, we just don't want you to. Our secretary, my missus, just said because of the way she treated her at the game that she won't be welcome at our ground. That's right. I'm on, but look, this is what happened. There's all these email arguments going on and stuff like that. And we've just said, okay, fine, listen, everyone's welcome to our ground and we won't do any filming. And then on the day of the game, they emailed us and said we won't be attending. So I think on Monday, from my understanding, the league were kind of thinking, well, they're not going to pay their fines maybe on the Monday. So maybe, look, you know, if you're not, I suppose if you're not aware if you can pay your fines on a Monday, does it make sense for you to fulfill the fixture on the Saturday and incur more costs? Maybe not. So maybe there was a bit of a situation, and maybe actually it was a perfect storm for them to say, well, we're not going to come and play you because it's, don't know. Ultimately, game never got played. I think they got a £500 fine for a third game that they then haven't fulfilled. So they apparently they paid the fines. That was all done. So stayed in the league, and then they played on the Wednesday night. But then I think they didn't fulfil their match against Moulton away. It seems like they're only willing to play home games. That's what it seems like to me, anyway.
Strange.
Very strange. Yeah, bit of an odd one, but we have.
So you're champions now, but where does that leave that fixture? Are you going to be getting 3 points? Are you going to have to play it this weekend? What's going on?
Apparently, we're getting the points, and apparently that is going to be resolved by Thursday this week. So by Thursday, the committee that will be hearing the charges against Long Buckby is going. Yeah, so Thursday there'll be a resolution to it. So we'll know Thursday. Previous to Saturday, we would have been like, we need to get this resolved quickly. But apparently, the way it all works is they give them a charge. They've got a certain amount of time to respond to it. They can respond to it and then appeal, and then they've got a certain amount of time to provide the. But the problem we had is when this all happened, we didn't know if we might have needed the Long Buckby points to qualify as champions at that point in time. So we didn't know. So we're thinking this has got to happen. But the FA kind of rules and regulations around it would have actually exceeded the playoff date. So we're sitting there thinking, well, we might not even know if we're in the playoffs or where we are at that point in time. So it was all up in the air. But luckily, we won the game against Desborough, and they dropped a couple of points against Ampthill. So it meant it didn't come to that. But the reality is, we could have been sitting here today not knowing what is going on with them points and not knowing who's actually going to be champions.
Well, that's like the Goodbye County South. We've had that this weekend with Jersey being deducted 3 points. But because of the hearing period, as you say, they've got 7 days to appeal. So if they do appeal, then it's 28 days, which takes us past the playoff days. And it's carnage. Absolutely carnage.
And look, I get it. There's obviously you've got to give a club a fair opportunity, and if they are going to appeal against it, you have to give them a fair amount of time to be able to provide the evidence. I get all of that stuff, but obviously, if a club's going to be doing it towards the back end of the season, and you know that it's going to affect stuff, you know, maybe there has to be some kind of process. Well, actually, you've got to accelerate that, and actually, period's got to be reduced because otherwise, it affects the whole league.
Well, it affects everything, because if you're looking at playoff, it affects the league constitutions for next year and how they're working that out. It's just a big snowball effect, isn't it? So it should be accelerated for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So we're us and Long Buckby are friends anyway.
I see you gave him a tweet last night. But listen, let's move on to that. Obviously, you're crowned back-to-back champions. You're up now to step 5. What's your summer going to be like? Is it going to be with Brett on the phone every 10 minutes? What's going to be happening now?
Now we're getting to the point where, look, this football club, when I set it up, is I had a significant amount of involvement at the start, and my kind of influence over the team has reduced every single time maybe a new manager has come in. And look, there's no secret to it that, look, when Rich came in, Rich was perfect to build this club because he's got that drive and he's willing to put the hard work in and things like that. But actually, in terms of levels he's managed at, you know, I think he's kind of been involved at step 5 clubs before and things like that. Then you had Liam, who came in, and he's managed at step 6 before. I think he was a manager of Codicott when they had their most successful season. And then you got Brett, who now is kind of managed at step 3 for a short period, but 4, 5, etc. So I have to let them do their jobs, and I don't need to get involved. So my priority is going to be making sure the finances are there to make sure the club can run for the next 12 months, making sure that the infrastructure is there to making sure the club is going to be playing at a ground that is suitable for them, making sure that we've got training kits, making sure we've got kit, making sure that our development team has a pathway coming in, making sure that, again, all of that sort of stuff from a football side works, making sure our training venue is suitable, all that sort of stuff. So it's going to be really, really simple for me and Brett from a football side of view, because there's a couple of things he's going to need to know. He's going to need to know how much his budget is for the year. He's going to need to know where he's playing his matches. He's going to need to know where he's training. Other than that, it's down to him. That's him. That's his responsibility. Where I've changed manager through mid-season a little bit, and I have had to be flexible in if I wanted to achieve promotion. So, where you kind of bring a manager in halfway through and then he says to you, we can't hardly lose any games. Well, actually, there's a couple of times where I'm like, okay, we're going to have to go and get Jordan Brown. Okay, the budget might have to be flexible here and bits and pieces like that. But this year, it'll be, Brett, this is your budget. You work towards it. Maybe try not to spend every single penny of it every week, because actually, if you want to bring someone in further down the line, but look, he knows how to do that. I don't need to sit here and tell him how to manage a budget. I just tell him what the budget is. He'll manage it, and I will put a budget in place. And look, I've got friends that manage at Step 5. I've got Kane. He's a Biggleswade Wave manager. He works for one of the businesses I'm involved in. See him every single day. Talk to him. I know a lot of people around that sort of level. So, you talk to people and you find out what the budgets are at Step 5 and what people are paying, and then you kind of set your budget accordingly based on where you want to finish. Yeah. So I'll look at that and look, we want to achieve promotion in Step 5. It's another one that I think we can do. I think when we go to Step 4, this is where that might be the one where I want the promotion that year, but actually, there might be some big clubs in that level then. But I think we can do Step 5. I do truly believe we can do it based on where we are right now. So that'd be a conversation with Brett. Look, this is the budget. This is what I'm looking at. We want to achieve promotion. And look, he has to agree that he can do it, because if he doesn't agree that he can do it, then he's going to tell me why he can't and what he needs, and then we have to sit down there, we have a conversation, and we say, well, okay, we can either do that or we can't do it, and then if we can't do it, well, actually, maybe we turn our attention to other areas. Do we start putting a little bit of money into, a youth structure, or do we put a bit of money into the ladies and start building their social media? Do you know what I mean? So we just have a look at it. But I think we're very clear in terms of what we want for next season, and me and Brett have our conversations of what we think the budget will need to be, what it needs to look like, and based on that, as long as everything goes in the direction it needs to between now and the next kind of 8 weeks, then that's very much firmly going to be our target.
Yeah, and it looks like a really open league. Well, your projections obviously just to go up into the Spartan Premier, but with the clubs in there at the moment, it looks really open at the moment on paper.
Yeah, well, look, I think there'll obviously be some strong clubs. I mean, you look at some clubs that are finishing strongly this year, like you've got Tring, like look at their run they're on right now. Let's say they don't go up in playoffs, that'd be a side that, I know if I was their manager, I'd be sitting here saying, look how close we were this year. Next year we're going to win it. Let's keep the group together. So there'll be people that would have been there or thereabouts. I think, that's probably what MK Irish done quite well, where they picked to the post by Real Bedford. They managed to keep the group together, and lo and behold, what have they gone and done? They've gone and pissed the league this year. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think it's going to be easy. There's definitely going to be some strong clubs out there that are ambitious as well. But look, I've got full faith in Brett. I've got full faith that he'll bring in whoever he needs to bring in, and we'll give it a good go. And look, he's if we never win a league, but we keep getting promoted, I'll take that. Obviously, it makes me really nervous relying on one game to go up, But look, if we don't win, you've always got that opportunity of winning the playoffs now. Whereas Step 7, there was no margin for error. You had to finish top. That's it, really. But Step 6, again, we have the playoffs if we needed, and Step 5 we'll have the playoffs as well. But yeah, promotion is definitely something that we will be very clear about. Again, on our socials and everything we say, that that's our aim for next season.
I think personally, from being around the Spartan, I think you've got out the 2 toughest leagues, because I know what these Step 6 and Step 7, you can go to teams that you don't even have a fucking clue who they are, where they are, what players they've got. But now you're coming into divisions now where, like, Brett will know most of these teams inside out. He'll know most of the managers. He'll know most of the players. I think the first 2 steps that you've come through will be your hardest one. I think now with yourself, who's been around this area all your life, with Brett, I think you're going to thrive. And I can just see you going straight up again, or going up, like up the top half of the table easy in the top 5.
Yeah, well, I think that's I think one of the disadvantages we've been at is actually for the last 2 seasons, every single person can look at our games and be like, oh, he's a good player, mark him out of the game, or do this, or actually look at where they play for. But we're rocking up to someone, and the reality is we didn't even know much about Desborough because they don't put much out there. So I think we found the odd game. I think where a few people had got their VOs and they had put them up. But the reality is we didn't know much about them. But everyone knows all about us. Everyone knows who our players are and what they're like and what they do. The good thing is, I think, like I said, next season, we'll know 90% of the players that play in that league. Yeah. We'll know who we need to watch out for. And we'll hopefully give us a little, won't be on so much on the back foot, when we're going into games.
No, yeah, it's definitely going to give you a lot more advantage going into now the step 5. Right. We've said about your social media team. What a fantastic job, James. I know I've had battles with James, but what a brilliant, guy to be doing what he's doing. And obviously, I think you've got your sister-in-law doing the photography. You've got a really good team there, Maddie as well, who obviously go on every single channel, and she's doing a fantastic job as well. So, just how important have they been to your success?
It's probably been as important as the football, if I'm honest. And people might not like me to say that, but a lot of football clubs in non-league really struggle to find a route to generating revenue. You'll see once a club starts doing quite well, they get a good following, but then actually when things aren't going so well, their crowds dip and stuff like that, and they're very up and down. But for us to get some level of consistency, I mean, you guys will be fully aware doing a podcast show. You'll look at the analytics and stuff. You'll look if it's doing well and how many followers you're getting and how many subscribers you're getting. So you'll know if what you're doing is working. And from our point of view, it's something within the football club that we can very, very easily measure the success of it. It's very simple. You look at the numbers. So from that point of view, it's the easiest element of the football club to manage. Going to a football match, man gets sent off, you're a better team, but you're down to 10 men. It's really, really tough to be able to actually go there and win that game of football. But with this, it's quite a simple element of the football club. Try and create some content that people are going to watch, and we get enough views, and we kind of put ourselves in the spotlight, and then we hopefully some of those people convert into actual real fans that come to the ground. But I think there's a big piece of work that we need to do on that with the local community that will be better than social media. But ultimately, that team have done a great job, because you simply just have to look at the numbers and say, okay, are you guys achieving the numbers we expected? Yes, you are. So that for me is really, really simple. The content that we're doing, like every person that we brought on as well is they work their asses off. You guys will know James is non-stop. He is non-stop in terms of everything that he is doing for the club. We've even got, Kylie, my sister-in-law, like I said, she'll get home, she'll download all the pictures straight away. The players will be asking for them, she's sending them out. And then you've got Maddie there doing all of her stuff during the day and stuff like that. So I've done a really, really good job. And it's an area that, again, I don't really have to. The only bit I would look at is the numbers. That's it, really. And as long as they're achieving those numbers, we're a football club, and we've got some ambitions on the pitch. And the social media side can really complement that, because it's going to facilitate the growth of the football club. But, other people will look at us as just being an organisation that creates content, and we just use football to do it, So however you want to look at it, whether you want to look at it as a football club that is kind of using social media, or whether you look at it as a content creation organisation that's using football, either way, you can look at it however you want. But they both need each other. It's something which, like I said, I think if you're not doing this in 10 years' time, as a non-league football club, you could be in trouble. I think 10 to 15 years' time, you could be in trouble.
It's really growing rapidly as well. And I think it helps with player recruitment, because, let's be honest, a lot of these players at these levels do have their egos, and they want to be showcased. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. No, I just sit there thinking, like, if I was a player, like for me to, like, I've got a load of programs of when I play football, and I sometimes go through the programs, and I might actually be on the front cover of one of these programs, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, that's quality that. He's like, do you know what I mean? I've got a program. Now they can sit there and watch YouTube. They can see the social media. They can see that's there forever now. So
yeah,
I'd love to be sitting there if I'm a player now in 20 years' time. Yeah, like you tell your grandson how good you were at football. Oh, let's have a look. Yeah, well, this is my video. There I was. I scored that goal. I've done this. I've done that. So I just think it's like something which, you know, we all reminisce and everyone thinks they're the best footballer ever. Might not be great for some of us because you show the clips and we're shit. But yeah, I think it's just something which I would like to play for a football club that had that additional kind of asset, kind of ability to be able to demonstrate you actually playing football and watching it back. I even like watching the highlights. Like I sit there thinking about a good tackle I've done, and I go back to YouTube and you watch it. Like it's just natural human nature, isn't it? Really?
No, yeah,
I totally agree.
It's brilliant. I mean, I commentated on one of your live streams, and just the setup. I mean, you get people like just going around with a phone, but you go to AFC Welwyn, like the setup is it's fucking unreal. And that will definitely boost you moving forward. Just finally, just before Lee Allenson, I know he's your best friend, got the job at Hemel. We had him on, but I know he's your best mate. Just how well is Lee doing now?
Do you know what? They lost today, didn't they? Lost 1-0. I was going to go and watch. So I'm going to tell you, listen, I'm telling you now, that guy's going to be a Football League manager. And I said this, I was speaking to someone probably 2 years ago, and Lee used to work for me. So he used to work for me in one of the businesses that I'm involved in. And he is so committed to his football and so passionate about his football. And look, he used to come to work and he used to get his work done, yeah. But any spare minute he had, he's on the phone to a player, he's texting someone, he's doing this, he's trying to find that out. He's getting a video content from someone, or he's ringing the Truro manager, finding out how they got on against that game and things like that. So people don't realise it's not luck. That man, like you look at Hendon now, they've just got relegated, haven't they? Now that man kept Hendon fighting for playoff positions. I think he had 1 year where we tackled for relegation. And I actually remember speaking about that. Yeah, I think that was one of the best things that ever happened to him, because you get a little bit of adversity, and okay, it's great when things are going well, when you're sitting there and you're going for the playoffs. It's easy. That's actually easy. But then you hit a bit of adversity, and how do you overcome that? And I remember he was working for me at the time, and he'd be coming in, he'd be getting stressed about it. But I actually think that was probably the thing that gives him the most amount of confidence, is that he's managed to get out of a relegation battle, keep his club up. Their budget over at Hendon is probably not a budget that should be allowing them to be punching at playoff level. And I think when he left them, they haven't won. I think they've won one game since he left Hendon. So just shows what a great job he's done there. And look, he's gone over to Hemel, and I think they must have been just outside the relegation zone when he went there. And again, I think they were never going to get in the playoffs, but they were kind of sitting one spot outside of the playoffs, I think, recently. But again, don't think they're ever going to get there. So I know what it's like. If you're never going to get to the playoffs, maybe you're just seeing your season out. Do you know what I mean? As a player, I'm saying that would never be the case with Lee. Lee would always demand the highest from people. But yeah, he's so passionate. You'll never see any. I don't think you'll find anyone that puts as many hours in as he does.
Yeah, no, it's been absolutely brilliant.
Definitely proves it.
He definitely deserved that opportunity, and he's actually taken it with both hands. But now, listen, T, it's been absolutely brilliant to have you on tonight, mate. Congratulations with everything that you've achieved, your back-to-back titles, and we wish you the very best of luck in Step 5 next season.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Brilliant.
And soon, yeah.
Yeah, cheers, T. All the best, mate. Best of luck, mate.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
So, yes, AFC Welwyn owner. I introduced him as the chairman, but no, he's the owner. He's the man behind.
They're flying, aren't they?
Yeah, he's done a fantastic job. And full credit to him. I mean, I remember the likes of Peter McCormack getting fucking pelters. He's gone on and won 3 league titles. I remember T getting pelters. He's gone on and won League 2 titles. So put your money where your fucking mouth is and watch him go. And they've done exactly that. So full credit to T and AFC Welwyn.
Yeah, agreed. Like, money men come into clubs everywhere, all across the country, but
I've just received some big breaking fucking news in the non-league. Scott Patmore is back at Rayners Lane.
Yeah, talking about money men. Obviously, the investor walked, didn't he? Took Daisy with him.
What
Scott Patmore's back.
Patmore is back after all the fucking bullshit at the start of last year or the season before. Patmore is back at Rayners Lane. You heard it here first. Is it on Twitter yet? Is it?
So that was the that drama for people who didn't know. Is that when they forgot to be registered for the FA Cup and FA Vars? Was that one?
Yeah, he got him promoted. Got him promoted from step 6 to step 5.
Yeah, that was it.
Brought in that other bloke who's been working, who was snaking him out behind the scenes or something. But yeah, no, congratulations to Scott Patmore, back in football, one of the nicest men in football you will ever meet. I've had some great conversations with him. He's helped me out in my own personal journey along the way. So yeah, Scott Patmore. Sorry, Dan, I don't know where you was, but yeah, just got the news that Scott Patmore's back at Rayners Lane.
Where I actually was taking it back is I was talking about money men that come in and don't say what they're going to do and makes it not sustainable for those clubs. And you've hit the nail on the head with Rayners Lane. So I don't need to say much more.
No, that's it, man.
So 2 fantastic guests there. Leonardo of the FENIX Trophy, and obviously T, the AFC Welwyn owner. Bit of a longer episode than usual, but